And yeah, so the bar, Contra Costa County Bar Association. So I'll make sure that everybody who's involved, as long as I have your email addresses, I should, or I'll send you mine just to make sure, but we'll make this available to folks who are on the call. And I'll also share it with the other bar associations. If you're not with the Contra Costa County Bar Associations, I'll make sure I share it with the other bar associations who are involved in this project. Just send it out and make it available. Dan, does that sound like a decent idea?
Sounds great. Thank you. So I'm sure some folks will be trickling in, but I'd love to just go ahead and get started. And we're going to have a lot of time for question and answer as well. Good to see a few familiar faces and names. Some of you have traveled with us before. I think most of you haven't. Looking forward to meeting you. Thank you, Jody, for organizing this Zoom. Myself and my colleague Bridget are both here on the Zoom. So I'm going to be running through both the Portugal and Scotland programs that a collective of California bars are offering next spring. And then we'll go ahead and field any questions you may have. Of course, if anything comes up after the call, feel free as well to email or call us both, Bridget, and I think you should have our contact information on all the materials. So I will try to quickly run through the materials, and then if you don't mind just holding the questions, and we'll handle them at the end. So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to start with the Portugal program and then get into the Scotland program. Thanks for bearing through if you're only interested in one. Here we go. Can everyone see that? So I'm going to start at the landing page for both programs and then walk through the program brochure and the registration pages. I'm not going to be reading the brochure to you, but again, we can answer specific questions at the later part of this call and then thereafter. So each landing page you'll see has the program brochure and the registration link. When you click on the program brochure, you'll have pop up the brochure. I should say off the top that we really like to customize our programs. So as we have the enrolled participants joining the trip, once we get close to a good nucleus, we'll be sending around a pre-trip survey for everyone to put in their individual preferences, including special requests. We really like to customize, including the CLE topics. So you should look at the brochures as a good example of popular topics that we've done before, but we're very much open to customizing these based on the participants enrolled. So expect us to be soliciting those along the way. So for Portugal, May 10 to 18, you have 3 options for either a 4 or 7 or 8 night program. This program starts and the core of it is in Lisbon for 4 nights. You continue on if you have a bit more time to northern Portugal, including Porto and the Douro Valley. I would say to summarize, including some interesting topics on EU and Portuguese law and culture, this trip is heavy on culinary traditions in Portugal and wine. This is a food and wine tour as well as a legal tour. That's what we've seen most of our travelers really enjoy and want to soak that up. And so in addition to Lisbon and Porto, we do make stops to Óbidos, Coimbra. In between the two, it's about if you were to drive straight from one city to the other, it would only take about four hours. but there's some really interesting cities along the way. In this itinerary, if you have enough time for the 8-night, it takes you back to Lisbon. So for those of you that want a longer stay and the ease of just flying round trip in and out of Lisbon, you can do that. Otherwise, you can fly into Lisbon and out of Porto on the 7-night trip. Again, this is going to be heavy on food and wine. If anyone doesn't drink wine, that's okay. Just let us know. But Portugal has been trending very highly of late in the travel circles, in particular for the culinary scenes. And I'm going to jump over. I'm not going to read the brochure. Everyone should have this available too. I'm going to jump over to the registration page so you can get an idea here of how you have different packages based on your length of stay and in single and double accommodations. So you can choose if you're in a double or a single on a 4, 7, or 8-night packages. You have also, in addition, if you want to save some money, and the accommodations we're using here are 4-star accommodations, very comfortable. But if you want to save some money, or you prefer to go ultra luxurious, something we tried to pick a happy medium for the group. We have a day program option, which means you're fully participating in the program. However, you book your own accommodations. This could mean you stay at your own Airbnb. Maybe you want a high-end 5-star property. If you need any advice, suggestions around that, please let us know. We're trying to be as accommodating as possible to give you the options to make it work for you. So on both of these programs, the early bird discount still is applicable. So this is where you would enter it at the end. I'm going to jump over to the Scotland program, June 11th to 17th. Here you have options of 4, 5, and 6-night. A general comment is that we do see folks arriving perhaps a day or two ahead of the group to get adjusted to the time zone. Also, some stay longer. If you need any additional nights at our group hotels, the group rates will be extended to you at cost. You just let us know what you need, and this can happen down the line as you're looking for airfare and you make those arrangements. So in Scotland, I'm going to jump right over to the brochure. And another general comment, if you haven't traveled with us before, on all of our programs, we will have a tour guide, dedicated tour guide, and sometimes specialized city guides with us throughout, in addition to a local attorney. It tends to be a younger attorney that is also accompanying us. So we have, from start to finish, a fully guided tour with both the touristic and the legal sides. It's important for us to have that continuity and someone with their foot in the legal world as well. This is in addition to our speakers and experts that will talk to us and we'll have meetings with. But just so you know, as part of the tour, you're going to have a fully guided experience with a seasoned tour guide, in addition to what we call is sort of a CLE escort that's going to have their foot in the legal world there. In addition, more than likely to one of us, Bridget or myself, depending on the size of the group, if it warrants having a third person with you. So we'll just have to see the size of the group. Here in Scotland, of course, you know that Scotland is part of the UK, but they have their own history, their own legal system. It's actually a hybrid of the common law and the civil law, which you'll learn on the trip. Our home base here in Scotland is Edinburgh, just a marvelous city, very historical, also cosmopolitan. The guide we love using here in Edinburgh is a former diplomat. And we will be, again, heavy on Scottish culture. We will have music, that's bagpipes, traditional dance, time for exploring both Edinburgh and Glasgow. And if you have time for the 5 or 6 night trips, this will extend to St. Andrews and then the Scottish borders as well. We're also offering the day program option if you prefer to do your own thing in terms of accommodations, but still want to be fully participating in the program. As with all our programs, there's a blend. Most of the meals are included. There will be some independent meals as well. We're going to be dining and sometimes having a lecture over a talk. Our goal is not to be putting you in a conference room, all day. You're on a vacation, but we're going to be interweaving those CLE activities along with activities. Here we'll see differences, even though Scotland is relatively small country and part of the UK, we'll see regional differences, but certainly between Glasgow and Edinburgh. And we're trying to give you a deep dive into Scottish culture and the legal system. We don't have golf per se on the agenda, even though St. Andrews is the birthplace of golf, but we can visit the golf museum. If anyone wants to add golf to their trip, we can point you in the right direction and help you make those arrangements. But that's not for everybody on this tour. And for those of you that are new, you'll see in some of our brochures, we try to make our CLE engaging and topics that not only the attorneys will get a lot out of, but also the companions that may not have a legal background. One of my favorite talks here in Scotland is the Witches of Scotland, a campaign that they have launched with great success to try to bring to light how many witches, in particular females, were charged and put to death many centuries ago, but without any recognition of the injustice. So we pick topics that are interesting from a legal standpoint, but also applicable to what's happening in contemporary society and engaging for everybody. So again, as the trip goes on and we go into these extended portions for those that have more time, they're less CLE focused, but we think they're definitely worthwhile to experience the country, and that's why we have those optional extensions. Here, moving to the registration page, again, you have several options. The Scotland program is also a 4-star hotel. So when you register either as a double if you're sharing in a room, single if you're having your own room, again, 4, 5, 6 nights, or the day program, 4, 5, or 6. I apologize for so many options, but we're really, especially if you traveled with us before, we're really just trying to be as accessible to everybody. So I've done a broad stroke overview of both programs, and I'd love to take some questions. I'm going to stop the share here. And I think it looks like everybody's muted. I'm not sure if you could unmute yourself if you have questions. There may be a hand up but I'm not sure.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Batten. I'm an attorney. Regarding companions who are not legal or not, lawyers and stuff like that, do you have a separate program for them while the attorneys are in the CLEs?
So if there is an activity that is of dry technical legal nature, which I must say is not often the case in our programs, we would, if there is a lecture of that nature, we would always have our guide available ad hoc to do some guiding, during that 60 to 90 minute period. If they want to, just take them to a museum, do a little extra walking tour. However, we do design even the CLE activities to be educational for any intellectually curious traveler, anyone. To learn about a country is also to learn about the legal system, but to learn about the legal system is also to learn about the culture, the economy, the political system. So I would say that most of the companions, most of the spouses actually enjoy all of the content that we arrange, most of which is also CLE eligible, some of which may not be CLE eligible, but we find that most companions enjoy those lectures and talks and visits. So, but if there is a reason that the non-attorneys may not be interested, we always have our tour guide there to do some extra guiding. So,
thank you.
I had a question and comment. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Elizabeth.
My husband and I traveled to Portugal with Danny in 2019, and I just wanted everyone to know what an incredible experience it was. It was a beautiful program, and I highly encourage anyone to do the 8 days because you don't want to miss any of it. It really was, it was phenomenal. And I'm not easy to please, to be honest. That was our first program and only program because of COVID with you. And I couldn't wait to go on more because I was skeptical at first, to be honest. I traveled quite a bit in business and had certain expectations. And wow, it really, really surpassed my expectations. And it was a phenomenal trip. It's even to the point that we both would go on it again. So I just wanted to mention that to people, that if you have any hesitation, I mean, it truly was first class in every way. And again, I'm kind of picky, and it was phenomenal. That's my first question. That's my comment. My question is, Danny, when we did go to Portugal, you had arranged through Rolf, he was like a local travel agent, for us to go to Koshkosh, or we stayed in Koshkosh, and then we did tours on our own, right? Before we joined your group. If we went on the Scotland trip, would you have something similar for us to do in London? Because we'd really like to do London before going to Scotland. Yeah,
I have an amazing guide in London who happens to be a solicitor as well, if you're going for that kind of touring. Otherwise, we could refer you to some other guides in London as well. So yeah, to respond generally, we always try to help with anything extra that you're looking to accomplish. You're traveling this far, you want to make the most of your time. So yes, we will either have someone on hold ready for you, or find that person and find whatever you need. So yeah, we Bridget and myself, we like to we like seeing requests. We like things coming in because we want to maximize your time. So yes, we have folks in. We've done London tours as well. Those aren't as popular right now, but So we have good people that we could point you to there as well.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, Danny, hi, it's Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. And I also wanted to join Elizabeth's comment. I traveled with this organization back in 2019 to Portugal, and it was a phenomenal trip. I enjoyed it so much. It was ironic because I'd been in Portugal earlier that year. What were the chances? But did not go to Porto initially, but went to Porto with your group. And it was just great. You guys had everything organized. The CLEs were great. I also was able to join the Cuba trip and got back a few weeks ago with Cuba Cultural. And that trip was originally supposed to happen in March of 2020, but was canceled due to COVID. So I was really pleased. I was skeptical about how that was going to go. It was wonderful as well. And I would love to go back to Cuba sometime and see some more. So based on my experience of the two, I don't have any hesitancy about doing another. And this time it'll be Scotland. So anyway, thank you for two great trips, Danny, and also the Cuba Cultural Tours, they're retiring now, I'm sorry to say. So that's really too bad. Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Any questions from the group? Happy to take them. Meanwhile, my Portuguese wine is tasting pretty good.
I had a question more so about the CLE credit that we can get. Is it possible that we can know beforehand how many units or so each lecture, so to say, would be worth?
That's a good question, Kristen. Generally, we have, because the nature of our organizing, we give an emphasis on using local speakers, and we're subject to their calendars. We try to, between 30 and 90 days out, have all of that confirmed with our timed agenda. So we then know the kind of, we could tell you how many realistically CLE credits we'll be earning. But at this point, we can't. What we could do is we can give you what we're anticipating, but that is subject to the requirements. Also the sponsoring bars, CLE departments that will review all the documentation we provide. That's something also that we, as I mentioned earlier, we take into account the requests of the actual enrolled participants. We find that most participants are not necessarily interested in a heavy CLE load, but kind of a balanced load, maybe one to two CLE activities per day. Most of the talks are on average 1 hour, one CLE credit. Some may go longer. On occasion, we'll have half-hour ones too. But I'm sorry I didn't answer your question better than that, but it is to say that gets confirmed a bit later on in the process, and we will take into account the requests of the enrolled participants.
No, you totally answered it. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it'd be more now. I figured it might be closer to, it'd be easier to get some information about that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the question. How about anyone else? I'm curious, is there anyone out there that's hasn't been to either destination is considering either or most of you kind of have your eyes set on one of them?
I have my eyes set on Scotland. I have done my Portugal time already. It was awesome. But the witches got me. So I'm going to really try and go to that Scotland trip.
That's great. I see Anne wrote in Scotland. I think we got first handful of signups, and Jody will be sending the current signups to you and the other leaders. But we got our first few come in, and the early bird deadline for both programs is this month. So hopefully, if you have decided, you could take advantage of that. But again, we're going to hang out here a few more minutes, see if anyone has other questions, and Bridget and I are always available. Again, email and phone if we can help in any other way or answer other questions.
So Danny, I have a question about the registration form. So I had mentioned to you when we emailed a few weeks ago that I'll be coming in probably a day early, right, and leaving on the 17th to another part of Europe for a different trip. And so looking at the different options, I know I'll need probably one extra night. So when I'm calculating the total cost, since adding an extra night is not an option that I saw on the Scotland trip, do I just do like the 6 day, 7 night, or whatever it is, calculate that, take off the discount, and send in the deposit? Or do I wait for you to tell me the cost of that extra night? How do I address that?
Okay, yeah. So you intend to participate in the group 6 nights, and you would need a 7th night?
I'll get there on the 10th, and your program starts on the 11th.
Yep. Yeah, so you would just let us know. Normally we take those requests as folks do kind of settle their airfare. That's when it becomes apparent that they do need the extra night. If you can send that request directly to Bridget, otherwise to me, and I'll loop in Bridget, who handles usually the request for all our hotels. We'll just make sure that the additional night is requested, and the group rate applicable to that particular program. So I'd have to check if we have that available now. A lot of times we are negotiating hotel contracts with multiple properties as we are waiting to see the size of the group, because that matters. But I think at the minimum, we could give you a ballpark of what we're budgeting for the hotel stay, if that would help.
Sure, that does help. And also, I might have missed it in the brochure, but do you have a date yet for the final payment?
So with the booking system that we've been using, it sets up installments, if you want it that way, which are roughly between 4 and 6 weeks each installment. So and that final payment would be closer towards the trip, maybe a month or two before the trip, which would be but you're also welcome not to do the installments and make the payments in larger chunks if you want. But we find that most people are enjoying the just kind of smaller installment payments as part of the plan. And when you register, it will show you as you sign up, based on the package, kind of what the payment schedule will be once you get to that step at the end of the registration process.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Forgive me, Danny, I should know this off the top of my head, but what is the early bird registration deadline?
I believe we have it set for December 12th for Portugal and December 21st for Scotland. And for those of you that are all on the call, if you want to just say December 21st for both programs, you're welcome to take extra time if you're still mulling on it. Or if you need additional time, just reach out to us. We plan to keep that early bird open for this calendar year. So.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
You got the one, I'm sorry, I was doing some research. You saw the question in the chat for how many people on the tour? Did you already answer that?
Oh, no, sorry, I did not check the chat. How many people from Kirsten? Most of our tours are in the range of 20 to 30 people. However, we make sure that they go, even if we have, say, a minimum of 12 persons. In past trips with the Contra Costa County Bar, Alameda County Bar, and some other collectives, the groups have not been too large. In that 15 to 25 range, I would expect something in that. These trips did open up to a number of other bars, but they don't have experience offering trips, so we just don't know what the turnout will be. But in almost all the cases, we cap them under 40. We want to kind of maintain a level of intimacy and fit on one bus, but we don't anticipate getting that large necessarily. But just to say that we may reach a capacity if signups are very strong, but we're gonna have to wait and see what the interest level is. But I would expect in that 20 range, plus or minus. Any other questions from the group? Looks like we had
a late add in.
Yep. Welcome. If you just joined us, welcome.
Oh, and there's somebody else. Did somebody advertise this as 12:30? I wonder.
No. I had a meeting and late, so it's my problem.
You weren't the only one I added just in there. Gary also added in.
I was saying, no, it was terrible club. No.
For those of you who just joined, we have reviewed, kind of just walked through briefly both the Portugal and Scotland programs and have been fielding questions from the group. Don't hesitate to ask a question, even if we discussed it. For those that have joined late, I'm happy to answer it. So.
And so for Wuxun and Gary, we are recording this, so whatever you've missed will be available. Do you have specific questions that you wanted to have answered through this presentation?
Yeah, I have one question. So I understand there's going to be a official program, but there are also some free time for each members can explore on their own. So what's the ratio? How many hours, let's say, per day will be assigned for an official schedule, and how much hours will be free?
That's a great question and a tough one to answer. We love organizing and showing off the country and planning amazing activities and experiences. So free time is sometimes tough to find. Bridget, who's also my colleague on the call, she's always a strong advocate for more free time. We try to strike a balance. We really try to strike a balance. And so I would say that maybe every other day we might have, some level of an afternoon with free time. It's hard to say what percentage, but on a daily basis, you're going not every day. As I mentioned earlier, we have a mix of many of the meals are included, but not always. So you'll have on any given program a couple evenings that you're dinner on your own. That's not with the group. But we also try to carve out, 1 or 2 afternoons, perhaps, after activities before dinner, where you have the free time as well. We tend to have busy programs, though, I will say, because not only are we offering a tour that will meet the expectations of any curious traveler in a country, but we're also fitting in interesting legal activities, CLE eligible talks. So it does add a lot, and the tours are not lengthy in duration. So they're quite busy, but we're never, besides taking the mandatory attendance we might have to for any CLE eligible talk, we're not dragging you out. People are free to carve out more free time by skipping 1 or 2 things. But I will say that you asked a great question. It's one thing that we struggle with. We try to strike a balance, but they can be busy, and we try hard to find that free time, but it's not always easy. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is the hiking strenuous for old folks?
We don't like to call it hiking, but it resembles it sometimes. I would say that these old world cities can be tough sometimes. To be honest, Gary, in particular, Portugal is very hilly. You've got to deal with the cobblestones and the hills in both Lisbon and Porto. We do our best to accommodate, and take a leisurely pace. But I would say that there can be challenges with the hills in Portugal. Edinburgh has kind of 2 parts to the city. The new town, which is very flat, and the older town, which can also, you can also encounter plenty of hills and those tough cobblestones, but it's lighter on walking, the Scotland program, if I had to compare the two.
Yes, unmute. You unmute me.
No, go ahead. Maria has a question.
Sure. Hi, Maria.
I'm assuming that you will have a written program that we could look at, and itinerary and all that thing. So because we came in late, we thought it was at 1:00, but I will be relying now on the registration and the information on the registration, as far as and on the recording. And we're just interested, this is a separate event, so we're just interested in Scotland at this point, right? It's
Sure.
Different dates, correct?
They are different events, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you will be sending the registration forms, right?
So the which bar are you associated with, Gary and Maria?
Contra Costa.
Okay,
Contra
yeah.
Costa.
So you should have received already, probably, if not the actual brochure, a link to the landing page, which I can probably share my screen once more and just do that here.
I believe that I have a link to it already, I believe.
Okay, so there, and it looks like Jody in the chat just sent the link to. So there, once you get to the landing page, you'll have two options. You'll have the brochure, which does have a day-by-day itinerary in it. And then also the registration page, which also does have highlights of the itinerary, but also more importantly, outlines the pricing options.
Okay,
So, yeah,
thank you.
look.
And we apologize for being late.
No, not at all, not at all. Have a look at those, and if anything is not clear or you have any questions, reach out to us after. You should have our phone numbers and emails, both Bridget and myself, at any point. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Yeah. So are there any other questions from the group? I'm gonna also, since we've got an active chat here, I'm gonna also send that General Scotland landing page, which you'll have both there in the link to the registration and the brochure. So if there aren't any more questions, again, we're happy to take them offline at any point. Thank you again for Jody for arranging this Zoom.
My
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you also, Elizabeth and Cheryl, for sharing your experiences with us previously. Good to see and hear you.
Oh,
and
but if
yes.
there's no more question, I have one.
Yes, of course,
sorry.
of course, of course.
Yes, I'm planning to bring my partner, and do I have to register him the same way as other lawyers, or how does it work?
Good question. If you intend your partner and companion to participate fully in the program, yes. Normally, that's how companions will register, because we're going to be, as a group, touring, traveling together, doing the sightseeing, having the meals, including the CLE activities. I mentioned earlier on the call that we really try to cater to both lawyers and companions. Anyone interested in learning about the country will find our lectures and talks interesting as well, not just for lawyers. We really try to make them welcoming and engaging for everybody. So if your companion does intend to join the group for all the activities, yes. That's what most companions, spouses come along. They want to enjoy all the entire program, and that's really their decision. There might be an occasion where the partner companion really doesn't want to take part, and just if that's a special case, just let us know. But we find that all the companions that travel with the group really get a lot out of it. It's designed for them as well. So yeah, but that's your decision. So usually you would register in that case in double accommodations, 2 persons, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
So the registration is open now. Is that correct?
That's correct. The registration is open now. There's a early bird discount code that saves you, I think, $100 a person if you enter early bird into the discount code field as you register. That's good this month for both programs.
The early bird is through December? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think technically for Scotland, it's December 21st.
Okay.
But I had mentioned to those on the call that, if you get in your registration by the end of the year, that should still apply.
Okay, thank you.
And to
Yep.
clarify, Danny, I heard you say that you apply the code, and the code is early bird.
It's early bird, all capital letters. Yeah, no space between the two. Just and that's there's a discount code field at the registration site that you can enter that in.
Perfect.
Early bird, all capital. That's the total code.
That's the total code. Yeah, all together, one word, no space between them.
All right, thank you.
And if anyone forgets to enter it and you already registered, just email us. We'll make sure we apply it on the back end. So
Thank you. I guess one last question. How will we find the recording?
I will be posting that, Gary, on our website, and we'll make that we'll do an e-blast, but I have your name, so I will find you and make sure I send it to you directly.
Thank you, Judy.
The same, I've got a couple of folks that had dropped off and asked me to do the same, so I will make sure you get it directly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
a question from Kristen. Besides Scotland, Portugal, do we have anything else? So we run trips all year long with different bar associations. I don't believe this collective of California bars has decided what they might do later in 2023, but I think that conversation may happen. I'm not sure if they want to offer more than one trip a year, but you can stay tuned to hear those. And if for whatever reason these dates don't work for you and you want to try to get on another trip or something, you can always email us to see what trips are available. But as far as I'm aware, the collective of Cal bars are currently only offering this trip. So these two trips, sorry, Portugal and Scotland. So I was happy to field these questions, and I look forward to meeting some of you soon. Again, those that enroll will be receiving a pre-trip survey where we'll cater to special requests as we finalize the program, and we'll arrange kind of a virtual meet and greet also for the delegates before the trip to get to know each other, go over the details of the particular trip in each case. So.
Perfect. Danny, could you and Bridget stay on with me? I have a back office question. So to everyone
Of course.
And if you're not with the Contra Costa County Bar Association, I'll be sending the recording to all of the other bar associations. So it'll be available. I'm not sure how they'll promote it and have it available, but I'll make sure they get that. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.